Today on Dirt Road CRED Jeep News, our embargo has lifted and we're able to share all of the concept vehicles that Jeep will be bringing to Easter Jeep Safari 2026. Well, before we get started with this video, guys, a huge shout out to not only Jeep and Jeep Performance Parts for allowing us to be part of this drop, for not only allowing us to be a part of a meeting last week where we were able to see all these concepts, but for also Jeep Performance Parts for inviting us out to Easter Jeep Safari next week for us to have a closer look at all of these concept vehicles and really see them in person. Now, it's really cool, guys, because now that we're a part of this, we're allowed to get some of this information beforehand and then drop it once the embargo lifts. If you guys want to be a part of our channel, which we would love to have you here, hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on any of the information like what we're sharing today. And also another caveat, we will be checking all these out in person, Ryan, next week. So we'll be at EJS 60th anniversary of Easter Jeep Safari. We can't be more excited. We're going to be hanging out with the crew at AMW, Jeep Performance Parts, and all of our other vendors and followers out there. So a little bit more about the concept vehicles. Jeep and their team of engineers, as well as the team at Jeep Performance Parts, a few months prior to Easter Jeep Safari, come up with all of these crazy ideas and turn them into a reality. Whether it's a Wrangler platform, a Gladiator platform, or even old school platforms, as you'll see in some of these concept vehicles, it's the idea of them being able to kind of stretch their brains a little bit and have some fun with these Jeep brand vehicles. They do it every single year for probably the past 15 to 20 years, and there's some really cool stuff and some hidden secrets that might be right in plain sight. So we'll talk a little bit at the end on our thoughts about these concepts and what we could foresee actually maybe becoming a factory part or some of our thoughts. But let's jump right into it, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer concept. So right off the bat, Jeep does have to bring other vehicles from their lineup. It's not just a Wrangler and Gladiator event, as you'll see with this first one. This is actually the Jeep Grand Wagoneer Commander concept. And don't mind me, I'll have my phone because they have the full specs here. But this Wagoneer was actually lifted and placed on 35-inch all-terrain tires with a set of 20-inch wheels and a custom roof rack, Baja Designs, S-Pod control system, skid plates underneath, as well as a really neat topographic map. Now, Wagoneers are typically seen on the street. They're a more high-class luxury vehicle, and I personally think it looks pretty cool on the 35s like this. But overall, it is going to be the quickest section of today's videos. We are a Wrangler and Gladiator-based channel, but kind of need to see what they can do for things like this, and they do bring a bunch of different vehicles to the fleet. Talking about a bunch of different vehicles, it doesn't have to just be a new vehicle. The other one that I really liked was the Jeep XJ Pioneer concept. Now, you guys know the XJ holds a soft spot in a lot of people's hearts. And actually, Ryan, in that release when they were talking about the XJ, what hit me at home is like someone always has a story with an XJ. Whether it's your friend in high school, your friend in college, maybe it was a vehicle you owned, maybe it was your parents as the first station wagon that drove you around. I had an '01 XJ that I beat the living wheels off of it, got it up to the doors stuck in mud. So there's always memories surrounding an XJ, and I do think it's pretty cool to bring that back. Now, this is a one-owner Jeep, I believe, somewhere out of the southeastern part of the U.S., and what's cool about it is they actually kept the factory drivetrain, re-geared it to 410s, and brought this thing up a little bit in the air, but added on custom fender flares both in the front and rear. Now, they did keep the OEM color, but then they added a really cool root beer kind of metallic on the top of it. And this is a two-door XJ, and I believe, yeah, it's a 1984. Yeah, so it was the first year of the XJ, and it was a really beautiful looking Jeep. It's a resto mod. They did a lot to it, and that really just holds so much heritage as the 80s and 90s vehicles are really gaining traction and popularity. So I can't wait to check that thing out in person and just see what they did to it. But it's also funny to see, like, I think they put on 33-inch tires, you know, like 33 inches is like big for an XJ with the fender flares cut out. Now we can fit 37s on a Gladiator with no lift. So absolutely wild, but really, really neat to see that. They actually say they have custom coolers, era-specific ergonomic seat enhancements. You know, the little beads that you used to sit on? Those are like the little wood beads on the seat. So cool stuff on the XJ there. Next up to bat, let's talk about one that Jeep Performance Parts really played with, the Buzzcut concept. I actually rock a Buzzcut most of the time, and I like to get my hair as short as possible. That's what they did with this. They buzzed the top of the Jeep. What was really interesting with this is they actually said they lowered the overall height by 2 inches and added a 2-inch lift. So +2, -2, it's pretty much the same height as a stock Wrangler. However, the overall height is the same, but the ground clearance has been increased. Now, this was more of a Jeep Performance Parts vehicle. It's got a 2.0-liter inline-4 Mopar cold air intake, 37-inch KM3s, 17-inch wheels, And then it's got steel front bumper, worn winch. Our friends over at Tyree sent a whole slew of all the items that they have available for JPP, and you can actually pick those up on dirtroadcred.com as well. Little subtle plug there. Snorkel flat fenders that we've installed, so they actually put the flat fenders and paint match them, which I think looked fantastic. Fuel door cover, a ton of different integrated Jeep performance parts. And overall, I do really like the look of this Jeep. I think it's interesting to see it actually drop down 2 inches, and as well as the fact that it is a 2-door. So this thing is very purpose-built, and I really want to check this one out in person to see what the proportions of dropping it 2 inches actually do to the overall vehicle. But that's a cool one, and more of the Jeep performance parts side. So we're hanging out with our friends at JPP out in Moab. We're definitely going to check this one out, see if there's any hidden parts on that may be coming to production on the accessories side. Next up to bat, the Jeep Gladiator Red Rock. This one's pretty cool because the Red Rock Four Wheelers Association is actually the entity that puts on Easter Jeep Safari, and that's the 60th anniversary for them. Back in the year, it was either 2017 or 2018, Jeep actually produced a limited run of 50 Red Rock Edition JKs. They were actually lifted, had 35s, and I believe that was actually the precursor to the Extreme Recon package. But this one is titled the Jeep Gladiator Red Rock, and what's cool about this is very purpose-built. This is a Gladiator that is going to be used for trail cleanup, trail recovery, trail inspection and maintenance, and it can be very, very well used. It's got a 3.6 V6, 17-inch beadlock wheels from Jeep Performance Parts on 37-inch BF Goodrich KM3s, steering stabilizer, steel front bumper with the worn winch, and then the triple hoop winch guard, and another set of Tyree 7-inch lights. Up on the A-pillar, 5-inch Tyree lights, wider rock rails along the side, the Jeep Performance Parts performance wiper blades, and their toolkit and recovery kit that we've installed pretty much all of this. It's got onboard air, a Lightner bed rack on here, S-Pod, lighting all around the back of it, and a ton of storage for all of the other tools that you're going to need when you're doing trail recovery and cleanup. They've also got Armor-Lite quick washout floors, grab handles, and an onboard air system from ARB. Now what I like about this Jeep is I love the red color in it. I really like the gradient, which I said only a few times in our wrap video after I rewatched that video the other day. But I really like the functionality of this Jeep. If you're going to use this thing and be able to take it out and actually want to clean up or do trail maintenance, this was built exactly for this purpose. And it's kind of neat to see Jeep do that side of things where it's not just a concept vehicle that, man, that's wild, that's really out there. This is something you could see rolling around and truly being utilized. So a really cool one there, and kind of a cool homage to the four-wheeler group that puts on the Easter Jeep Safari. Next one up to bat is probably our second favorite that we've seen. This is the Jeep Wrangler Laredo concept. Now, what we like about the Laredo is Jeep is seemingly using old nameplates. I'm not sure why they haven't done this too much here in the JL or even the JK platform, when there are quite literally so many older nameplates that they have everything on and they could utilize into a modern trim. Now, this is a white Wrangler 4-door with a manual V6 3.6 liter underneath the hood. They wanted to take a little bit of a step back, make it more of a traditional Jeep, put on some slot wheels on there, and really make this thing kind of back towards the Laredo CJ7 and give it a little bit more character than what we're used to. My favorite part about this thing is like the Navajo kind of, what would that be called? Like more of an Aztec trim on the center section of the seats and the dash. I absolutely love that. I think that might be something that we incorporate somewhere else because that looks fantastic on this Jeep, and I would say that most people seeing that are probably going to agree with that. Looks absolutely killer. Now, they said on here that this is actually a Sky One Touch top, but it's a manual retract, so it doesn't have any buttons, so you actually just pull it back by hand, slide it back forward. That's not a bad idea. I mean, I think it reduces complexity, it reduces wiring, and for you to be able to just go outside, pull it open, and then pull it closed, it kind of goes back to that utilitarian aspect of it. 2-inch lift on here from Jeep Performance Parts, 37-inch BF Goodrich KM3s. I'm kind of noticing a theme on the 37-inch BF Goodrich KM3s on all the concept vehicles, just about, besides the Cherokee and the Grand Wagoneer. Durable cloth seating, yeah, they say custom throwback inserts reinforcing the back to basics philosophy. And then they did remove the full carpet and put the JPP Armor-Lite setup inside that vehicle. And then they also added, we just checked this out the other day, the Jeep Performance Parts rear tailgate mounted air compressor. So this thing is a utility-based Jeep. The Laredo nameplate looks great, and I think a white Laredo with those gold accents just look fantastic on this Jeep. Last on the list here, and we saved the best for last, this is our favorite, the Jeep Wrangler Anvil 715 concept. This thing pretty much stole the show when we saw it, you know, kind of live and they were explaining the design aspects of it. This thing is absolutely awesome. When you look at this vehicle, it is a Wrangler-based concept, and the 715 name comes from the M715, the military version of the Gladiator. They had the really big front clips on there. They had a lot of the time even like there was like just standard wires, or it was like a bigger face mask on this thing so it could go through brush. It could go through a lot of the different things it needed to go through, and they've added this onto this vehicle. We've obviously seen the front clip like this a few different times throughout the years on, Ryan, how many concept vehicles at this point? It's been on a lot of concept vehicles, and every time it just gets a little bit different. This one on the front clip is probably the coolest one we've seen. I'm pulling up the photo here just to look at it, because what I really like about this is it gives you the heritage of the old school, the 715, but it also incorporates still the factory bumper on the Wrangler, and then just those aggressive, Ryan, those aggressive body lines on this thing. It is very squared off. It's a squared off look. It's got an inlet in the front, two side kind of Rubicon style to help exhaust the heat. And then it's still got the 7 slots up there, but very much reminiscent of the SJ. So the old style Gladiator, the single cabs. That's what the front end of this thing looks like. The fender flares look like a Wrangler or a Rubicon fender flare, but you can see in the front when you look at it, they're about, I would say, only like 5 or 6 inches wide compared to the Wranglers, which are about 11.5 if I'm not mistaken. Baja designs lights up in there, which they actually just designed and produced their own kind of plug-and-play JL and JT front lights. And then you can see a full-width front bumper. That is the most exciting thing we've seen on this. But as you look through the rest of the Jeep, everything else from, I would say, the front of the windshield back looks very reminiscent of a standard Wrangler. It says it's an Anvil, Ryan, but I think you're right. Maybe they've just kind of added some black pieces on there, or like around the back corner, it looks wrapped, or some different colors going on with this vehicle. But one thing I'm really a huge fan of is that hardtop on here. This is a permanently or a fixed mount hardtop that they said actually increases the height almost 4 inches, gives you side lights, and gives you a lot more room on the interior of the JL. You guys know, we roll around in these things all the time. If you're driving in these Jeeps for any length of time, it can feel quite cramped. So just giving 4 inches and a skylight up there probably really increases the ability of this Jeep to kind of get more light in and feel a little bit more spacious on the inside. Now this Jeep looks to be rocking a set of 37s, and if I had to guess 1552 wheels, it looks like that style of wheel. But the coolest thing is actually underneath the hood of this front clip concept, it's got a 392 under there. So 392 V8, intake up front, side panels on the hood to probably exhaust some heat. This is set up pretty cool. I mean, this is the most excited we are to see one, and you better believe when we see this thing in person, we're going to be popping the hood, hopefully, checking out what's underneath. Because I think, Ryan, this is probably a good point. We can start talking about our thoughts on some of these and our opinions. And overall, that 715 concept is our favorite for a few reasons. Not only is it the fact that it has that old style Gladiator full width front clip, but it's the fact that it looks probably the most refined. We've seen, I think we said 3, but we've seen a lot of these done in the past where it looks like it's halfway there, but it still looks like a concept. This one's getting close. I mean, it's getting close if they ever did decide to do something like this. And who knows, it could just be a one-off, they built it. But out of all of them, this one's looking the closest I've seen. It's got fender flares, it's got integrated side markers, and then Ryan and even I spoke off camera. It looks like the fender flare width would fit those stock like sport fender flares lighting. Because if you look at like your Jeep when you had it stock, the width of that LED didn't go full width. It stopped like 3 inches away from the grill, and that looks like it would fit in there. So it's probably that much narrower. And if they already have some of that tooling and the design work, could we see this thing become a reality with that front clip? And I don't know, we'll have to see, but I know that Jeep Performance Parts and Jeep puts a lot of things hiding in plain sight at these events, and I wouldn't be surprised. I would love to see this thing as a front clip on some sort of version here in the future. So as we break that down a little bit more, I know we've probably had a little bit of a chance to talk about a front clip like that, but one interesting thing that was said during kind of the press conference that we were in was the fact that that grille and front is actually longer than the current model JL and Gladiator front clip. Now, why does that matter? Why is that a big deal? You know, obviously they said it was for aesthetics, but we got to thinking, and a lot of people, they've said, what's the next engine or what's the next style of engine for these vehicles? And a lot of people have said, you know, the 3.0 liter Hurricane that is found in the RHO, it's found in the Ram, it's found in the Wagoneer. It would make sense to put that engine into a Wrangler or Gladiator. The problem is that the engine bay is not deep enough. Now, I don't know by how much it's not deep enough, but a few inches might be all the difference it needs to fit intercooler stacks up in that front, and maybe they can change it up. And could this be something that could see a 3.0 liter Hurricane? If you guys recall, in the RHO, which was the kind of the next step of the TRX, which now they're coming back with the TRX, the 3.0 liter Hurricane actually beats the 392 in power. It's pushing over 500 horsepower, and I don't know, Ryan, maybe a little bit more distance in the hood, and that the axle setup that we were looking at the other month, could it be a precursor to what's happening? This is all speculation. So, like, okay, we'll give a prediction here, and this, like, what we're embargoed to talk about today was just the concept vehicles. That's it. You know, any speculation is personally on our end, but Ryan brought this up the other month as we were talking, and he's like, if you look at the Ram 1500, you know, we see the Ram 1500, we have one. Basically, all that's changed when you go from a Ram 1500 to a TRX is the engine, the wheels and tires, and then the windshield forward and the bed sides. The whole cab is the same size. The whole frame is the same size. Little changes are made here and there. But the thought is, will this kind of become like a TRX Gladiator, to where you have the front clip is different, the bed sides are different, but then the cab structure stays the same, maybe with like leather paddle shifters and stuff like you have. But I know the CEO made mention about the 392 before. He's like, Jeep owners don't worry, Gladiators don't worry, but there's been nothing besides that. If they can do it for the TRX, if they can spend the money to do a new hood, new bed sides, new fenders in the front, new front bumper, could they do it for the Gladiator? To make it that much different, justify the cost, shove a little bit of a different engine in there. That's our prediction. And that's nothing from Jeep Performance Parts. This is like our first embargoed content that we've actually had, and I think that could become a reality. I mean, that's all just speculation, right? Like, no one's confirmed anything V8 Gladiator at all, but it's speculation. So guys, if you guys have been following for a while, watching the channel, seeing everything that we've been building here, we first off wanted to thank you guys for helping this journey reach to 100K. We've never, you know, if you know Ryan and I, we've been with other channels before in the past when we were working for companies. We've never reached this milestone. So this is absolutely massive for us. And we couldn't do it without all of your trust and support, and for all the community that Dirt Road CRED has become. It's absolutely amazing. And as like a give back to that, because for months we've been like tracking when we'll hit 100K, hopefully, you know, like crossing our fingers and stuff. And we think we've timed it perfectly. So we've got a huge announcement to be made in 2 weeks. The countdown timer on our brand new website that our web development team put together for us. That's us. The countdown will end, and the website will be updated like that. And you guys will see something on there that we're super proud of. It's the culmination of all the hard work. Everything that we've put into this brand and this business will be announced to you guys, and we just can't be more excited for it at this point. Another thing we've been hearing too, people are getting excited for our subscriber celebration down in Daytona. So Thursday, April 23rd, from about 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock, on the drive-on section of the beach in front of the Max Resort, we'll be having tents set up, our Jeeps there, a bunch of friends, a bunch of vendors, and we would love for you guys to stop by. This is an officially sanctioned event. There'll actually be a sheriff on site from Volusia County, and we're really excited to have you guys all come hang out with us, share your stories, and get out of this dang cold weather that's been in the north if you guys are used to it, and enjoy some rays on the beach. We got to go inside and ship out a bunch of four-door light kits because you guys are absolutely killing those orders, which we love to see, but fortunately and unfortunately, they're made by these as well. We got to call manufacturing and tell them they need to speed it up when they're done with web development. So, and then we'll circle back with our marketing team and one of our biggest fans in Justin, yeah, and our global communications representative or director of global communications. Either way though, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We're super excited to be out in Moab next week. If you guys are going to be there too, we'll try and post stories up where we're at. There's so many trail rides and different things going on. Our heads are going to kind of be fluttering, but we'll definitely try and meet up with you guys, and we'll be getting as much content as possible. So for Ryan behind the camera, me here talking to you, we want you to get out there and earn yours.